What are nuclear weapons and how do they work? Nuclear weapons are warheads that use a nuclear reaction to produce tremendous amounts of energy. Currently, there are two subcategories of nuclear warheads, the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb. So how exactly does the atomic bomb work? The atomic bomb works through the process of fission. The most commonly used isotopes for fission reactions in these bombs are uranium-235 and plutonium-239. This is because these elements are large enough to be naturally unstable, with the ratio of protons to neutrons not 1-to-1, but small enough that they will not split on their own. When one of these large radioactive isotopes is bombarded with a single neutron, the radioisotope becomes unstable and splits into two smaller atoms, releasing 3 neutrons. These neutrons proceed to hit 3 other uranium or plutonium atoms, causing them to split as well, releasing energy and additional neutrons to continue this process, creating a chain reaction of nuclear fission. This produces an enormous amount of heat and energy almost instantaneously, yielding the atomic blast. In contrast, the hydrogen bomb, also known as a thermonuclear bomb or H-bomb, is a more advanced second-generation version of the atomic bomb. It is more compact, weighs less, and produces nearly 1,000 times the energy. As opposed to the fission process used by the atomic bomb, hydrogen bombs feature a fusion reaction. Fusion is the process of merging 2 elements together to produce a new element while releasing a large quantity of energy. True to its name, the hydrogen bomb gets its energy from binding 2 hydrogen atoms together to form a helium atom. The most powerful hydrogen bomb ever created was the Tsar Bomba, tested in 1961 by the Soviet Union. Even at the half-capacity setting of the initial test, it was still 3,000 times stronger than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Although they have been tested, hydrogen bombs have yet to be used in warfare.
Nuclear weapons have had a long and unfortunate history. The predecessor to nuclear weapons and warheads was the atomic bomb. Once the United States joined World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor, they put together the best minds to try and create a game changer, a bomb stronger than anything the world had ever seen. Rather than using TNT, they implemented nuclear fission, the process of releasing energy by splitting uranium or plutonium atoms. Over 130,000 people contributed to the effort, including J. Robert Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein. These scientists worked together for 3 years in a race to successfully create the world's first atomic weapon against the Axis powers. One such power, the Empire of Japan, would become the only country to experience the destructive capabilities of a nuclear weapon firsthand. In 1945, President Harry S. Truman called for Japan's surrender, but Japan did not hold back. On August 6, 1945, Truman called for an atomic bomb to be dropped on Hiroshima by a plane known as the Enola Gay. This killed 80,000 Japanese civilians instantly, and tens of thousands more would die from radiation exposure afterwards. On the 9th of August, another bomb was dropped, and this time it landed on Nagasaki, instantaneously killing 40,000 Japanese civilians. This was the first time that atomic bombs were used in warfare.
Nuclear weapons can produce tremendous damage to the environment, people, and infrastructure, causing both political and social disruption. Even the use of small-scale nuclear weapons would contribute to the spread of radiation around the world, which would eventually lead to the cooling of the atmosphere, shorter growing seasons, and food shortages. One of the most historically significant times regarding nuclear weapons was indeed during World War II. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the U.S. decided to put its newly designed atomic bomb to use. They eventually dropped 2 atomic bombs on the city of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, forcing Japan to surrender in the war. The nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima, called Little Boy, used uranium-235 as its radioactive material. With just under 1 kilogram of uranium, the atomic bomb was able to generate an energy equivalent to 15 kilotons of TNT, or 63 billion joules of energy. The bomb emitted a heat of about 4,000 degrees Celsius when it collided with the surface, killing 100,000 and injuring another 100,000 people in the total process. Homes and buildings were reduced to dust, and people in the immediate area were burned alive. However, the radiation from the blast disappeared fairly quickly as the bomb was detonated in the air rather than on contact with the ground, reducing surface contamination and allowing the radiation to be carried away by the wind. The second bomb, dropped on Nagasaki 3 days later, dubbed Fat Man, used plutonium-239 rather than uranium as the radioisotope. This bomb carried more than 6 kilograms of plutonium, generating a blast equivalent to 21 kilotons of TNT. The damaging effects of ionizing radiation can be felt long after detonation. Communities in former nuclear testing areas, including the Marshall Islands, Kazakhstan, Algeria, and parts of the United States, continue to be affected by nuclear testing that occurred decades ago, with radioactive contamination, nuclear fallout, and uninhabitability.
There are 8 countries who have nuclear weapons: the United States, Russia, China, the United Kingdom, France, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. Although Israel is generally understood to possess nuclear weapons, they have yet to admit they possess nuclear power. Between these 9 countries, it is estimated that there are 14,000 nuclear warheads, with only 4,000 being active. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization has a group of nuclear weapon-sharing countries. These are countries that don't have their own nuclear weapons, but NATO has agreed to grant them access to nuclear warheads in a time of crisis. The main goal of this is to decrease the likelihood that a neighboring country will attack, because the country could respond with nuclear force. The countries in the group are Germany, Italy, Turkey, Belgium, and the Netherlands. In addition to these 9 countries, over the last few decades, there have emerged countries who are purported to now have nuclear capability. Purported means that something has been stated to be true, but is not necessarily 100% true. Iran fits in this category. Iran started its nuclear program in the 1950s and is claimed to have successfully created a nuclear weapon. However, they have yet to test it, which leads the world to question the accuracy of Iran's statement.
In addition to the direct effects of a nuclear explosion, what are some other possible consequences of nuclear weapons? Nuclear winter is the severe global climate cooling effect. Following a nuclear war, the widespread fires as a result of the nuclear blast would release millions of tons of soot and H2O into the atmosphere, which will lower the Earth's temperature by a few degrees. After a few years, the H2O in the atmosphere will begin to become absorbed into the oceans, raising the acidity levels. This abrupt acidification of the oceans will lead to a catastrophic decrease in marine life. In addition to nuclear winter, widespread fires, and ocean acidification, crop failure due to the decreasing temperature, and a loss of modern technology due to electromagnetic pulses are other indirect effects of a nuclear war.